Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm hoping you're having a great day. Today I'm going to talk to you about Squid Game. It's a Netflix series. It's only one season so far and there's 9 episodes. They're about an hour long and it's something that people are talking about. So finally last night I drank the Kool-Aid and tried watching it. I am currently almost done with episode 2. So I've seen the first episode, which is red light, green light, and I've seen the second episode, which is hell. And it's very interesting. It's a Korean version of the Hunger Games. And as you know, of course, Hunger Games isn't an original idea. It also came from Japan. So it's an odd version of the Hunger Games, and it's interesting. The story follows this man who really struggles financially. Like, he cannot be responsible for money at all. Like, he gambles any money that he can get. He has a lot of debts he owes. He has a gang that's after him. They've told him if he doesn't pay them what they owe in a month, then they're going to take his kidney out, and then they're going to take his eyes out. So he's feeling a little bit of pressure paying these debts, but he's just not responsible with the money at all. So he runs into this guy. He says, if you play a game with me, I'll give you money. So he plays with him and he wins once and he gets some money. And of course the greed catches in. He's like, I want more. And the guy said, well, if you want more, here's a card. Call this number on the back and you can participate in more games to be paid for. And so he calls the number, they pick him up, they knock him out with a group of people, and he wakes up in this facility with 455 other people. And they start saying the rules, and they have to sign a waiver. And there's 3 rules to the game. First off, you have to keep playing. Second, if you stop playing, you will be eliminated, and that's the choice of words they use. And then the third one is you can have a majority vote to stop the games if everyone agrees, like majority agrees. So those are the 3 rules, and that's it. And if you play the games and you win, you get the money at the end. So if you win all the games, you get the money, and it's a ton of money. It's in Korean won form, so I'm not 100% sure how much it is because I didn't look it up. But it seems to be a significant amount of money based on what their reactions are. And the first game that they play is red light, green light. And the people that are running this is your first clue that there's something going on, because the people running this game are all wearing masks and they're not showing their identities and they're not the nicest people. So the red light, green light game starts. And if you don't know that, when someone says red light, you can't move. When it's green light, you can go. And you're trying to cross the line, a finish line. And this finish line's about half of a football field away. And there's this big, huge mechanical doll that says red light, green light. And so they start playing and she says green light, so they go. And after the doll says red light, if you move, normally you're just out, right? Well, they're eliminated literally by being gunned down. They shoot them. The doll has a mechanism inside its eyes that can tell if there's any movement at all. So if it detects movement, then they, I don't know if it's the doll that activates the machine or it's somebody behind the scenes, but they get gunned down. So everyone's freaking out when it first happens. So they're running back to the entrance. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm running away. So the doll's still on red light mode. And so every time someone moved, because they're running back to the entrance trying to get out, the doll's gunning them down because she's detecting movement. And I'm like, guys, stop! And so finally we get moving along a little bit. Like, other people are already on the platform playing. So they're like, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to die. So they start playing. And the guy that's the main character, he's scared to death. He's not moving. And one of his friends that he realizes that he's there. And it was actually someone he didn't expect to see there because he thought he was successful and he had a lot of money. And it turns out the way things seem to be is not the full truth. And so he's really struggling, so he's there too. So he says, you gotta move, because at the end of the timer, you get eliminated if you don't move. So he finally gets across with some help with another guy because he starts to fall when they says red light. And the guy catches him. And they're able to get across. And at the end of that, everyone's freaking out. And they decide to vote to end the game. So he says, they say, okay, majority of you have to agree. And by that time, there's only like 201 people left. So they've went from 456 people to 200. So they are voting. And there's this older guy there. He's at least in his 80s. I don't know. He's having a little too much fun. He's a little senile a bit. I thought he would vote to keep playing because he explains how he's a terminal illness. And really, it doesn't matter if he lives or dies. But at least if he lives, he can leave money to his family. And I thought he was going to vote to keep playing, but he said, let's stop playing. So other people that wanted to stay said, I want to stay, I need the money. So they said, okay, if you want to stay, you can keep playing. Our main guy decides he wants to go home. So he goes home. And he basically is thrown back into the world that he escaped from. So literally hell. He went from one hell to another. And he's reminded why he needs money, because things are rough where he's at. He's in bad situations. He even goes to the cops and tries to report about this place. And the phone number does not work on the card. And no one knows what he's talking about, so they just think he's crazy. There is an investigator that's getting involved in the storyline a little bit. He starts showing up in the second episode. So I'm curious where that goes. He decides to talk to the older guy again. And the older man says to him, I'm going to go back. And he says, are you nuts? Why would you go back to that? And he says, well, I'm going back because I'm going to die anyway. So why not? So they are talking a little bit, and that's where I ended on my second episode. I had like 15 minutes left. The first episode's a lot more interesting than the second one. The second one's kind of like, okay, I want to see more of this. So obviously I think the guy's going to go back for the money. He's going to go play more because there's 7 more episodes technically. So clearly he's going to go back. And he's so greedy with his money that I don't doubt it. I'm surprised he wanted to leave, other than he was just scared. And it shows scenes about what happens to the people that had died during the first game, and they're putting them in these boxes, and it's very morbid because it's a black box. It's not even a casket. It's a black box, and it has a big bow on it. Like, it looked like it was made out of plastic or wood, and it has a big bow on it, and it's all the dead people, and they're bringing them in by the forklifts, and like multiple bodies tacked on top of each other in these boxes, and they're just shoving them into retorts, like automatically just shoving them in. I would argue that there's multiple people in one retort. And there shows this part where this person is inside of the container and he's trying to get out because he didn't die from the gunshot. And they shove his hand back into the box and they nail it shut. And then they didn't show them putting him in the retort, but it's implied that he was cremated alive. So basically, if you didn't die, you're going to die anyway. I know there is a game in Roblox that you can play that's called Squid Game, and I've watched some people play it. It's interesting. It seems to be following along with the story with the tasks, so I'm curious to see if that's what's going to happen in the future episodes. So these are literally the same games that they're going to be playing. They did explain at the beginning of the first episode what is Squid Game. Squid Game is, I'm guessing it's a regional game in Korea. I'm not sure. North Korea, South Korea, I don't know. Or they made it up. I'm not sure. But it basically talks about some kids' playground game. And I have a feeling that this is going to come into play at some point. No pun intended. That game is going to maybe be the last game to make it make sense for Squid Game. I feel like if it doesn't come in play at some point, no pun intended again, it's going to be odd that they even mentioned it. So, I don't know. Another thing about the show, which I thought was interesting, because I thought it was going to be, since it was a Korean show, I thought it was just going to be in subtitles. And it's actually like those old Japanese samurai movies that you would watch, or the Chinese movies where their lips are moving but it doesn't match because they're dubbed over with English voices. That's what this is. So if that bothers you, you're not going to probably like this at all. But you eventually just stop paying attention to that. Excuse me. And just enjoy the storyline. So I'm really curious. I want to know more. I'm going to keep watching it, especially I think it's going to pick up again in a third episode because he's probably going to go back to the games and play. There's a lot of interesting characters and there's a lot of intertwining with characters, like people that they know, and there's hatred on one side because you owe me money and you're a drug dealer and you screwed me over, or you owe me something else. And there's a lot of manipulation involved with like the crew that's doing it and the people that are involved. I have a feeling that people are going to start getting other people eliminated just so they can survive. So there's one character that I'm 100% sure he's going to try to kill somebody off that he's made clear that he hates. And she feels the same way. So I feel like one of them is going to try to get the other one killed. Like, example would be like shoves them to the ground during red light, green light, and they die. So we're not going to do red light, green light again. But that's pretty much what I'm predicting is people are going to start eliminating each other. It's kind of like Among Us, or it's kind of like Saul, where you just start eliminating crewmates and people that are actually going to save you in the end, because more numbers will help you in the end. I have a feeling that's going to come in to be a factor, but I'm not 100% sure. It's cool. I like it. Like I said, the second episode's a bit dull, but the first episode was really cool. I've been hearing about it. I wanted to know. Curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought it back. So I watched it because I kept hearing about it, but I didn't know what it was about. So it's worth checking into. If you have Netflix, it's a good show to look into. It's under the trending section, or at least for me. So check it out. I hope you guys are having a great day. Know that you're appreciated. Bye.